So this is pretty much what it's going to be like. And it's like,
what in the world is going on here?
We're building a drift truck.
We've seen the rendering for this thing, so is that what it's going to look like when it's done?
Absolutely.
So, same color and everything?
The blue that Ford uses like on the GT supercars, but it's not like a publicly available color. I've got a color that is pretty close that actually the Ring brothers used on one of their Mustangs one time.
So in theory, there shouldn't be any welding involved on the chassis in this project.
I don't foresee any welding.
This is my first time ever touching a Factory 5 kit. They look really easy to work on.
Honestly, the suspension and all that stuff goes together really easy. It's all bolt-in.
Start to finish today, this thing might be a roller at the end of the day.
It's cool to see it here and all the components, and everything looks larger in life than it does in pictures. So it's like, oh wow, look at those control arms, look at this axle housing. It's neat to see it in person, and it's gonna be super cool to see it come together today.
So I'm putting together your coilovers here.
Mm-hmm.
These are 400 pounds,
For the
so it's the front, and then 250 for the rear. You can see it's marked on the spring. Okay, so ride height's adjusted here using the sleeve.
And then these go together really easy. I mean, essentially you just have like you were saying, you got to move this little snap ring plier up for the shorter spring, and then this will sit down up against it, and then the spring goes on, you got your top hat, and then you got just another snap ring on top, and everything's held in.
So these come disassembled. They only take a couple minutes to assemble. So I already put this one together, so I'll put the rest of them together.
Alright, so now that we've got our bushings installed in our control arms, we're going to be installing them on the vehicle, and then that will allow us to install the coilovers after that.
That wasn't that bad.
If I do this. We got the upper control arms in and mounted to these awesome coilovers. What do you think of this setup?
It's cool. It's almost a shame that it's going to be blocked by the engine, because it'd be awesome to be able to sit in the driver's seat and watch the suspension and the coilovers.
All right, the oil seal. All right, this is the oil seal. It always goes spring towards the gear, right? And it's going to drive it to about right there. Axle goes through, keeps from leaking oil all over your brakes.
Check it at 3 or 4 points, basically a cross section, and just make sure it's in.
There it is.
There it is.
That's the noise you're looking for.
We have lower control arms on, we have upper control arms on, coilovers are mounted, so all that's missing is the piece to connect these two. Here's the spindle.
Yeah, this is off a Mustang.
Yeah.
All right, so that fits there, and then this is upper and lower control arm, and then that's the tie rod, and it steers.
Brakes go here.
Alright, so got all the suspension installed, snugged every single bolt down to where everything's relatively close to where it's going to be, and now it's time to connect everything together. So, got a steering rack to put in, and it's kind of weird because most of the time your steering shaft runs up and through your header. This one actually goes in this way, so it looks like I'm installing it upside down, but I'm really not, and there's a reason for that.
Yeah, so we have the option for the electric assist.
It gets rid of that pesky power steering pump.
Yeah, which you really can't run a power steering pump on the Audi configuration.
Oh, really? Because they're all electric power assist, aren't they?
Oh, yeah, and the bracket configuration doesn't fit within the frame.
So this is a 3-link, right?
This is a 3-link. So this rear end is a Mosier 8.8. It's their housing. So this rear end would cover an 05 to 14. Stock length and everything to go designed for the truck, so you don't have to do anything custom. So if you find like a salvage vehicle from a 05 to 14, you could essentially bolt at that end. You basically tell Factory 5, all right, this is the rear end and transmission configuration with the motor, and they'll basically build it to spec, and then they have a little adapter that adapts it to a standard 4-bolt flange to take the drive shaft. And this has got
these are lowers right here.
lowers.
And then
Obviously on the obviously on the S197s they have a spring perch here.
Yeah.
No spring perch
so
required.
instead of that, then these are using these lower control arms, and then
Yeah.
that's the point of the coilover on the bottom, and then it goes to the frame here.
Yep.
All right, so let's slide it in. Get this thing jacked out.
Alright guys, we're on day 2 of our drift rod build. As you guys know, John McGann here on the left is joining us again today, and then we got some new faces here on the right. Starting at the end, we got Jeff DeBat. He is a very well-known painter for Factory 5s. And then we got Eric here. Eric's built 4 Factory 5s. On to day 2, we're going to try to get this car into a roller, get the cab fitted, and maybe get some steering in it. DeBat, who's actually doing all the body work, so he's going to be handling trimming the cab and getting that situated today.
So this is Willwood clutch and brake pedal assembly. It's got hydraulic clutch. This car's gonna have a hydraulic clutch, hydraulic master cylinder, hydraulic slave cylinder. So the master cylinder will go here for the clutch, and then the brake pedal has 2 master cylinders, one for the front and one for the rear, and you can adjust the brake bias using this balance bar up here.
Factory 5 includes a 1 or 2 piston normal cast style brake kit with the trucks, but then if you want to upgrade to the Willwoods, they have a 12-inch kit that bolts right onto this, but we're doing the 15-inch kit, which requires you to have to radius the back of the bracket a little bit and a little bit on the hub, just because it's a little bit thicker on the front side here. So we got that all squared away, and now what we're going to do is we're going to get the spacing for the caliper, both offset front to back and top to bottom, squared up to the rotor, and then we'll be good to go. So here's the Willwood rear parking brakes. So really all we have to do is take all the guts out of this and then get the exact same bracket set up as we have for the rear to match for our hydraulic handbrake.
Okay, so right now we're actually installing the steering column along with the steering shafts that head out to the steering rack. What you'll notice is that we have a Unisteer electric power steering unit that we put in place as well, because although this car is very light and normally could do without power steering, if you were going to put tires like this on the front and also going to race it, you definitely want some sort of electronic assist.
So we got the car as a roller. As you can see here, rear suspension is completely in. Factory 5 supplies the upper link and the lower control arms as well. Basically everything's pretty solid. There's rubber on the lower control arms, but then fully solid on the top. All right, John, what do you think?
This is great. A lot of progress today. It's on all 4 wheels.
So should we go take her for a maiden voyage?
Yeah, I know. I was thinking about that because you've got some kind of dips and hills out there. It might get away from us, but
Yeah.
we'll see what happens.
Yeah.